Cool. Are we ready to dive in to Carolyn's wicked awesome talk on, I'm sure it's going to be wicked awesome, on, on writing in-app tour copy. Yes? Yeah, I'm stoked about it. So Carolyn did this for us for our brand new copy school coming out very soon, as in next week. And that's what she's going to share with us, some insights there that will help you. So Carolyn, good day.
Okay, good day.
Yeah, are you ready to teach us all about in-app tour copy?
Totally. I'll share my screen and we can get going.
All right. Carolyn, have you done a Tutorial Tuesday before?
No. I know.
Carolyn is our senior conversion copywriter at Copyhackers. She's super dope at this. Clients like go nuts for her stuff with good reason. I never have to make any changes to her copy when I chief it. I love it. It's so good. So welcome, Carolyn, to the Tutorial Tuesdays crew for this Tuesday at least.
Woohoo. Yay.
And I are dancing for you. All right, you can take it away. I just had to stop and interrupt.
Okay.
That's what I do.
Okay, so I'll share my screen. We are going to talk today about writing in-app tour copy using the new Copy School platform in-app tour copy as an example. So let's get moving on this. Oh, slide deck, there we go. So let's start by defining what in-app tour copy is. It's that first thing a new user sees when they sign in. It's part of the user's consuming process. So that consuming process comes from the job to be done framework and essentially stretches from the decision to purchase. So yes, I'm going to purchase this through to completing the purchase. So moving through the checkout cart and then into that first use of the product that they've just purchased. Most importantly, the in-app tour copy sets the stage for the user's success inside your product. So quick poll. Why is user success so important? So you can chat your answer. There's five different options. So A, it keeps customers happy. B, it improves product adoption. C, it helps keep churn rates low. D, it helps your business increase revenue. Or E, all of the above.
Everyone was already waiting for E to show up. They're all like, it's all of the above. Yep. Not too shockingly, we're getting a whole bunch of E's.
Well, yeah, that is correct. So let's move ahead then. So yes, E, more user success at a very high level equals more money. User success is mega important because it keeps users happy, which can improve product adoption and keeps churn rates low, which can increase retention, all of which can help your business increase revenue. So user success is mega important. Now, how to write in-app tour copy. So this is a step-by-step for how I wrote the Copy School in-app tour copy. Start by defining our goal for the in-app onboarding. So what do we as a business want to achieve with the tour copy? In this case, Sarah, our product manager, already had a draft in place with defined business goals and user needs. Sarah's goal was to help set user expectations early for specific if-then scenarios. So for example, if you watch all unskippables, then you can access the roadmap filters. If you upgrade your membership to include the practice, then you'll be able to access the practice workouts as you move through a roadmap. There's some spoilers for the new Copy School in here too. So first, define our goal. Then define our user's goal. There are two big questions to ask here. So the first one being, what do they want to do? Like, why are they hiring your product? What are they hiring your product to do? From our research, we know that freelancer students want to improve copywriting skills. So that's their functional job to be done for Copy School. so they can feel more confident. So that's a personal desired outcome, which will help them get better clients and make more money. And those are functional desired outcomes. We also have entrepreneurs and founders and business owners as students in copy school, and they want to create marketing materials that sell their product, service, offer. That's the functional job to be done. So that's why they're hiring copy school. And the outcome that they're looking for, so the goal is that they can create consistent revenue streams for their business. And that's also a functional desired outcome there. Finally, we have in-house copywriters and growth marketer students, and they want to write awesome copy that converts. So that's their functional job to be done, so they can prove their value as an important revenue generating team member. So that's a social desired outcome. So we have why they're hiring copy school, and we have the goal. What do they want to achieve with copy school? So we need to know both of those things. We also, the second question to ask is, are there any objections or anxieties we need to help the student overcome to move them towards their goal? So in our case with copy school, we know that some students find the volume of content in copy school a little overwhelming. There's a lot in there. So highlighting the step-by-step bite-sized training and the direct path toward getting X asset, whatever that asset is, done could help a student feel less anxious and overwhelmed about the work ahead of them. So documenting all of this ahead of time to just really understand what our user is expecting right out of the gate, hopefully from copy school. After that, so we've defined our goal, the business's goal, we've defined our user's goal. Now it's time to draft. So draft your tour copy with your user's goal, the one that we just talked about. So that's the expected outcome, as the North Star. So what does that mean though, right? So for starters, I really recommend the feature advantage benefit framework for modal copy, like tour copy that we're talking about right now. It's a really, really excellent framework to start with as you draft each piece of in-app tour copy. Using it as the backbone ensures that each feature you show during onboarding is tied back to the what's in it for me factor for the user. So for example, one of the modals that was drafted says, watch the unskippable essentials to gain a strong copywriting foundation, so you can avoid confusion as you work through the training roadmaps. So our feature is the unskippable essentials. The advantage is tied to the functional job of all our prospective users, gain a strong copywriting foundation. And the benefit here is overcoming a possible user anxiety that could get in the way of them achieving their goal to begin with. So that's avoiding confusion as they work through the training roadmaps. So that feature advantage benefit framework really helps in organizing messages in a way that's easy for the user to consume when they're, just getting into your product. It's totally new, brand new, and can be a disorienting product experience coming into a product for a first time. So making our messages as easy to understand as possible is really key here. As you draft, you'll also cross-check your copy against your own goals for the tour. So those are the ones that Sarah set out initially. So for example, in the case of unskippables, beta testing confirmed that we needed to further clarify that the unskippables are quite literally unskippable. So setting that expectation up front was one of our goals with the in-app tour copy. Most importantly, when you are drafting your copy, you're still selling your product. Even if the user has already handed over their credit card information and they're technically considered a customer, you're still selling the use of the product. Users usually need to be persuaded to use your product, so that's precisely what the tour needs to do. Finally, after you've drafted your tour copy, you will edit out the extra and edit in the awesome. If you're in copy school already, there are plenty of techniques to draw on, especially the U rule, the one idea per sentence rule, and of course, the 7 sweeps. At a very high level, of course, you're also going to want to edit out any language that feels too complex. Look for simple language wherever possible, because we want to make it easy on our user to understand how the product works. So that's a step-by-step in how to write copy. Now, let's take a quick look at some of the gotchas or tips that I have for making sure that your in-app tour copy is on point and as effective as possible right out of the gate. So these tips I call the 4 C's of writing effective in-app tour copy. And this GIF is our new in-app tour copy, which you will see soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
So first, be clear. Yeah. This really all the time, be clear. Clarity is critical in your tour copy. And of course, anyone already familiar with Joe's 7 sweeps technique knows clarity should rule the roost anyways, really. It can be tempting, especially when you're in product. Like if your brand is heavy on voice and tone or has a really unique voice and tone, it can be tempting to go really heavy on that in app, but do so with caution. It's easy for this approach to backfire, and by backfiring, that looks like creating frustration for the user, which is likely to create a fair number of open support tickets and could also increase overall churn rates. So none of those outcomes are really outcomes that we want. What to do instead? Consider a custom Team Gif, like the one that you're seeing right here. It's a great way to infuse automated onboarding with a human touch. And in the case of the Copyhackers team, this GIF sits on the final tour modal. So that modal happens to encourage the reader to start digging into their new training. And it's a bit of a celebration moment, like, you're ready to go, like, let's go and let's start. So we have this GIF that totally embodies that emotional experience and also fits with the overall brand voice of Copyhackers. And it doesn't rely on any copy to communicate voice or tone. It's all done with the GIF. No, like the copy, the actual modal copy is very simple and straightforward.
Juan says it's a dance party. And I'm like, I wish I'd known it was a dance party. I was told to wave and I did what I was told. I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah. One of my favorite GIFs for sure. Okay, so the next tip after being clear is to be concise. In-app modals are in most cases quite small. Crowded modals could increase friction for your user and make their first use feel like more work really than it needs to be. Instead, shorten the copy to its most readable length without sacrificing clarity, persuasion, or specificity. Include only what the user needs to know right now about the feature and why using it should matter to them right now as they begin to use your product. So what does that look like in terms of our tour copy? So for an example, let's look at this welcome message. So this is our strong first draft. Sarah identified that she really wanted students to move through this tour copy. Of course, the tour, instead of clicking out, because of those goals that we had initially set out. So making sure that the expectations are clear for how to use the product itself, why a student can't access certain parts of the interface until they've done other actions first, making that clear up front to try to decrease frustration as they actually get into using the product. So because of that, I made it a priority to optimize this first screen by leading with the benefit of taking action so the user immediately understands what's in it for them. Why should I move through this tour copy in the first place? And I mentioned the minimal time commitment involved to ease friction around moving through to the next modal. So we'll take a look at that, the revised modal in one sec. So here's what that looks like. So here's this, first of all, here's the strong first draft. And then here is our revised modal. So that's it, benefit first. So kickstart your copywriting success. And then we intro the minimal time commitment. Copy-wise, that turned into a crosshead, a line of body copy, and 2 buttons. That's all the user needs at this point in order to understand why they should move forward in the tour. If we take a closer look at the buttons, I also rewrote the buttons. So one of them is a CTV, the one that encourages the user to move forward. It's a CTV, so a call to value, aligned with our user's desired outcome. So success, copywriting success, but in this case, kickstart my success. And that encourages the user to enter the tour. So aligning the tour with success, like their goal job to be done here. And you can also think about this if you use the hero's journey to sort of organize messages and where you fit specific messages into an experience. You can think of this like receiving the call to adventure once they're entering into your product. The other button, on the other hand, gently reminds them of the danger in not answering their call to adventure. So that's like refusing the call. Again, that's from the hero's journey if you use that particular framework. In this case, we mentioned a known failed solution. So trying to go it alone in learning copywriting. And mentioning that subtly de-optimizes clicking out of the tour. So all in all, the new revisions for this particular modal, we amplified persuasion and trimmed the drafted copy by almost 50%. So challenge yourself to say only what you need to say in the most persuasive way you can say it in as few words as possible. It's a challenge, but it's fun. The third tip here is to be consistent. So use the same language your users see in your UI. So if the dashboard calls the product subscription a membership, don't call it a subscription in your tour. Keeping your language consistent helps you avoid creating unnecessary confusion that'll increase the friction during the user's first use, as well as any further uses after that. So an example here for keeping consistent language across the user interface and the in-app tour. So for example, our setup inside Copy School is that we call Copy School a membership. So we use that exact language in our in-app tour as well. So it's not a subscription, it's not a billing cycle, it's a membership. Finally, be curious. Tour copy can't be set it and forget it copy. I mean, we're conversion copywriters, so there's always room for optimization anyways, but expect this to be an especially iterative process. Even more so if you're working on tour copy for a new product. Get curious about what users are saying. If you can, try to watch recorded beta sessions or user demos, and proactively collaborate with your product team and customer support to solve user problems. So here's what happened when we were drafting the in-app tour copy for Copy School. Sarah didn't actually say, Carolyn, we have a problem, but I heard a problem when she was discussing early beta feedback. So Sarah shared in one of our daily stand-ups that beta users were consistently confused by the practice. Specifically, they were confused about their inability to access practice workouts. Users kept saying things like, oh, I have to move through these lessons to unlock this practice. But that's not actually how the practice works. It's an in-app product upgrade. So with this feedback in mind, I went back to the copy and added messaging to clarify that aspect up front. So you can see that now at the bottom of this modal.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carolyn, for sharing this with us today. Thanks, Ange, for also keeping everything running and chatting out a whole bunch of links along the way, and everybody for sharing your questions. We will see you very soon, but do watch your inbox for cool stuff coming your way early next week. All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye.